Hello. My video log today is a video response to TC71291. The subject was spanking your children. And I'd like to say, all I can do is give you an example. My daughter walked early. She walked at 7 months. My son walked at 8. They were pretty early walkers. When they're really little, still crawling around the floor, my kids didn't like walkers. So when they were crawling around the floor, opening cabinets and stuff, I would keep all the dangerous chemicals or anything they could, sharp objects, I'd keep them up on the higher cabinets. So they could pretty much crawl where they want. But when they started paying attention to my little whatnots I had on my end tables, this is an example. I had these little ceramic dogs. They were little black poodles. There'd be a mama dog and her two little pups. They were on a chained together. And some of my friends would pick up everything, and put them up. Everything that they wanted to say, they'd put up high. I didn't. My kids, the first time, I kept an eye on them. The first time they touched this one in particular, I remember very well. I think it's the only one they ever, the first time was enough. Little knickknacks on the table, whatnots, call them. The first time they try to pick them up, you lift their hand and say, "No, honey, these are Mommy's toys." And then you get one of their toys and hand it to them. And if they go back to the whatnots, you do it again. For me, it didn't take long, maybe a couple times, and that was all. I just don't think that they did anything really serious when they were crawling around little babies. I mean, you don't spank babies. There's no reason to, in my opinion. But when they reach, 5 or 6, they might start getting in trouble. It's not, like if it's something dangerous where they could hurt themselves or someone else, another child. I would pick them up. It was funny the way I did it. With one hand, I'd pick them up around their waist, their little butt sticking up in the air, and pat them once, and then set them back down. I mean, just a little pat. I didn't do it to inflict pain as much as to get their attention or to say stop. Sometimes just a little swat on the butt in passing would do it, but I never hurt my children, and I don't believe there was ever a spanking until they were 5 or 6. And then it wasn't like I just said, it was just a pat. Just something to get their attention. Now, if they my kids didn't need a spanking often. They just didn't. They listened. If you do it right, you start them young, not with beating, but a little tap to get their attention. By the time they get older, you're not going to need to spank them, or a lot of spankings. They get the message. They do get the message. It gets to be like second nature to them. I never spanked my kids hard, but a little tap. And I don't think they needed and it was never on the back or on the head. It was only on the butt. That was reserved. Or a little tap on the hand if they didn't listen when I said, this is mommy's toys, this is your toys. If it gets to where they don't listen to that, I would tap their hand, just a little tap, nothing major. It only takes two fingers on the back of their hand, and they will learn not to touch it. It doesn't teach them, raising them like that doesn't teach them to be vicious, fighting, aggressive adult people or adults. Because along rough with their friends, or if they're doing something that might hurt themselves or others, and they really, you can, when they get to a certain size, pick them up, beat their ass a little harder than a tap. You don't really like the thought of doing it out of your own anger, but sometimes when you're scared, sometimes when it gets to the point where you are afraid for their safety. But if it's that serious, you want them to remember it. Okay? Done the right way. Well, let me tell you something. If by the time they're tall enough to look you in the eye, they're openly in your face defying you, yeah, it's going to piss you off. And you're going to want to grab, when they get that big and that old and openly defy you, do you want to cringe back in the corner and be afraid of them? Do you want to be afraid? Because if you don't get them in hand when they're young, they're going to put their hands on you when they can look you dead in the eye. I've seen it happen. It didn't happen to me, but I've seen it happen. Okay, that's it for now. I think I'm just going to squeeze this little piece in somewhere. All right?